Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the North Aurora Village Board meeting for Monday, December 18th, 2023 to order. Please join me in silent prayer and meditation. All right, thank you. Tonight, we are honored to have the Cub Scout Pack 301 and Troop 104. They're going to come forward and start off the Pledge of Allegiance for us. So come on up. Come up closer. Come up here. Yep. When you guys are ready, just you begin. Fantastic, thank you. So they're here today earning their government patch, so thanks for coming. All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Gaffino.
Here.
Trustee Christensen.
Here.
Trustee Curtis. Here. Trustee Gately.
Here.
Trustee Lowry.
Here.
Trustee Nedved.
Here.
Trustee Salazar. Here.
All right, thank you. We have a public hearing on the agenda. I'd like to open up the public hearing for establishing a special service area, number 46, for the Oak Hill Special Service Area. Anybody here like to speak regarding that? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing for Special Service Area 46. Audience comments? Anybody like to speak?
Excuse me, Mayor, there's two different public hearings on the agenda tonight.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So the first one was establishing a Special Service Area number 46. Correct? Okay. Anybody here for that one? All right, we'll close that. And the other public hearings for Oak Hill Special Service Area.
That was the same thing.
Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing for Oak Hill Special Service Area. Now, audience comments. Would you like to speak? All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately.
Yes.
Trustee Lowry.
Yes.
Trustee Nedved.
Yes.
Trustee Salazar.
Yes.
Trustee Christensen.
Yes.
Trustee Curtis.
All right, thank you. Under new business, item 1, Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 1 is regarding the use of our logo. The village has a policy on our logo and when it can be used. And in the years that we've had it, we've only had one request, and it was from a Boy Scout group. So we developed a non-for-profit use policy. We don't have a policy on businesses or individuals asking for use of our logo. Honestly, after looking at our non-for-profit policy, which we kind of are mirroring when we come here before the board tonight, we can simply amend that at a later time. It probably works in all cases, but nevertheless, we had a resident reach out. For those who aren't aware, there is a wild turkey that lives at the corner of Orchard Road and Mooseheart Road, which is also at the corner of Randall. And some people have affectionately named the turkey Randy, and they want to raise money for awareness by donating money from a T-shirt sale to go to a non-for-profit named CARE that handles rehabilitation and education for wildlife. In this case, they want to use the village's logo as the backdrop, as Randy resides both in North Aurora, Batavia, unincorporated, kind of hangs out at that corner, and they've asked to use our logo in the image that they would like to use for the shirts. And the only issue is with our non-for-profit requirement, it requires that obviously the village board, because it's our logo, has to provide approval. But usually we would go to committee of the whole first and have that discussion of what the artwork looks like, let the board make some comments, and it comes back to the village board for approval. But given the time crunch and the fact that we don't have another meeting until January 15th, and we got this request late last week, we put it on the agenda. So with that in your packet, there is actual artwork that shows the image. It's not necessarily the exact image, but it would be similar to that in its likeness. If the board had any stipulations about the logo, You could approve it with those stipulations and then revert it back to staff or somebody else to review it before it is made public to make sure that it meets those stipulations.
Motion approved. Second.
Discussion?
I only had one question, was just that, is there sort of a reporting back to the village as to sort of verify that the funds were used for a not-for-profit purpose?
We can contact the resident who's spearheading everything and just ask them.
That would be my only thought on the matter, otherwise I'm for it.
Okay.
All right, call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Nedved?
Yes.
Trustee Salazar?
Yes.
Trustee Christensen?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
All right, thank you. Item 2, Steve.
Thank you. Item number 2 on the agenda is the approval of an ordinance amending our liquor code to allow, to decrease the number of Class D licenses. This is because Jay's Wine and Liquor on Butterfield is looking to change ownership. So what we historically have done is we first remove the license, and then we reestablish the license so that it can be given to the next person because liquor licenses don't get transferred over. So with this one, the approval would be for an ordinance to decrease the number of Class D licenses.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Salazar?
Yes.
Trustee Christensen?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis? Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Nedved?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Item 3, Steve.
Thank you. Item 3 is approval of an ordinance amending our liquor code to increase the number of Class D licenses. This is now reestablishing the license so that there's one available for the mayor to issue to the business owner.
Motion to approve.
Discussion? Roll, please.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Nedved?
Yes.
Trustee Salazar?
Yes.
Trustee Christensen?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis? Trustee Gately?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Item 4, Jason.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I'm a resident of Oak Hill and have been quite involved with the board over there for a number of years. So in order to avoid any conflict of interest, I'd like to recuse myself from any participating in any discussions or voting in this matter.
All right, thank you. All right. Yep. We'll come get you.
So this item is a ordinance establishing the 2023 tax levy for the Oak Hill Special Service Area Number 7. Last board meeting, we approved all these special service areas levies except for this one, and we were holding off on this one because we were waiting on further information on the pond improvements that are needed out there for the erosion control. In addition, we learned that the HOA might be in the process of dissolving, so we were kind of waiting to figure out what would be an appropriate amount to levy for this. We had the public hearing earlier tonight because we were proposing more than 5% increase in the special service area assessment. We still have the $10,000, which was consistent with last year for the pond improvements, but additional $15,000 for common area maintenance. So this would be landscaping, the creek, sign, anything that the HOA or the management company would currently be doing. The $15,000 is believed to be consistent with what they're already paying in HOA dues. So if this were approved, we would reach out to the management company just to let them know that we're assessing this so that going forward for them not to basically ask for the same money, so the residents there aren't being kind of double asked to pay for the same amount. But in addition, though, if the HOA did not dissolve, this funding would just be collected and used for the future pond maintenance and that erosion control that I had mentioned.
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Salazar?
Yes.
Trustee Christensen?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
All right, thank you. Item 5, Nathan.
So this item is for the new special service area for the Ice Cream Drive development, 840 Ice Cream Drive. That's that new industrial building out there on Ice Cream Drive. As part of the process, we always establish a backup SSA that would be dormant and only be used if there was a need to do village maintenance on the pond. Last meeting, we started the process with the initial ordinance. Tonight, we had the public hearing. And then this ordinance will be the final vote to establish it, and then we will send it to the county to get it on the books.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Roll, please.
Trustee Lowry,
Yes.
Trustee Nedved,
Yes.
Trustee Salazar,
Yes.
Trustee Christensen,
Yes.
Trustee Curtis, Trustee Gately.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Item 6, Jason.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is a resolution to update the village's HR manual to comply with the Illinois Paid Leave for All Workers Act, which is effective January 1st, 2024. Basically, what we did here was update Section 5.4 of the policy related to vacation leave. We changed the word vacation to pay time off, but it's not like pay time off like most people think of, where there's just one bank of hours. So it's just really just a wording only change. But what we did here was we added language that part-time employees are now eligible to accrue up to 40 hours, PTO hours a year at a rate of 1 hour for every 40 hours worked. With that act, we had to basically guarantee that all workers were eligible to accrue some time off. So those parameters are in there. There are no changes to any of the full-time employees. Everything stays the same. And then we did add a statement basically saying that this policy has been updated to basically credit the time off that the employees are allowed under the act that's going into place.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Salazar,
Yes.
Trustee Christensen,
Yes.
Trustee Curtis, Trustee Gately,
Yes.
Trustee Lowry,
Yes.
Trustee Nedved.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Item 7, Jason.
Thank you. So this item is a resolution to propose maybe an updated question for the referendum, the non-home rule sales tax referendum we approved last time. Based on the feedback, we were asked if we can change the language around a little bit to maybe a little more direct. So what we did is, if you remember the first question that was approved last meeting, kind of led with shall the village increase its non-home rule sales tax, and we listed the items that we were going to raise it for at the end of the question. So basically what we're presenting now is a new question where those items are at the front of the question. So the question would read, for the purposes of expenditures on public improvements and infrastructure, expenditures on municipal operations and or property tax relief, shall the village increase its property tax. So we ran this by the Department of Revenue. They were okay with us moving the question around. So if we like this question better, we would approve this resolution tonight. If not, we would leave the old one that was approved last time, and that whichever one we'd file with the county.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Curtis, Trustee Gately,
Yes.
Trustee Lowry,
Yes.
Trustee Nedved,
Yes.
Trustee Salazar,
Yes.
Trustee Christensen.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Item 8, Brian.
Thank you, Mayor. This is to enter an agreement for right-of-way acquisition on Route 31. The village is currently designing the widening of Route 31 and Airport Road. We are at the point now where we need to extend right-of-way. IDOT is making us do this, so the village requested proposals from two firms. This will be budgeted. This has been budgeted for in the TIF fund. Staff reviewed the professional services agreement prepared by Santa Cruz Land Acquisitions, and it was determined they would fit the scope. So staff is recommending to enter an agreement with them in the amount of $26,700.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately,
Yes.
Trustee Lowry,
Yes.
Trustee Nedved,
Yes.
Trustee Salazar,
Yes.
Trustee Christensen,
Yes.
Trustee Curtis.
All right, thank you. Item 9, Brian.
This is the approval for the Tanner Trails stormwater conveyance project. This started back in 2019 with storm sewer collapse we had in that area. We hired WBK back in 2020 to engineer some options. It was presented to the committee of the whole, and it was determined that replacing the whole thing was a feasible option. So in 2021, WBK engineered and designed it, went out for bid this year. It came back higher than normal. We received 6 bids, the lowest bid being $2,387,878. However, after opening the bids, it was determined that the company made an error in their bidding. So what we have to do first is approve this one and then item number 10 will be, following up will be the settlement agreement to this one. So staff is recommending the award to be the low bidder, Performance Construction and Engineering, in the amount of $2,387,878.
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Nedved?
Yes.
Trustee Salazar?
Yes.
Trustee Christensen?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
All right, thank you. Item 10. Kevin.
So this is a follow-up to the last item. And if you remember from our previous discussion, the low bidder indicated that he had made a mistake. It wasn't a mistake that we would have caught necessarily. It didn't stand out as being something that was noticeably wrong. And we have different things that we could do. We could go to the second lowest bidder and call on the bid bond, which is supposed to be there to kind of make up the difference if the lowest bidder can't perform the contract. But the bid bond, which is in the right amount, is really grossly insufficient to cover the difference because there was such a big gap between the low bidder and the second lowest bidder. So that's not really a good resolution. We could litigate over these things, but then we're putting these things into the hands of a third-party judge who may or may not see things the way we do. The bidder has a legitimate defense. That doesn't necessarily mean that it would be successful, but it really, I think, works out for all of us to enter into a settlement agreement like we have. We've negotiated with the low bidder. We have capped, so the settlement is an increase over what the low bid was, but it's still substantially lower than what going to the second low bidder would be. So I think it's a fair settlement for all of us. The low bidder will do the work. He's kind of capped at the unknown, which is dewatering by well point. That's the big unknown in this project. It could be that every well point has to be dewatered through the whole stretch of pipe, and it could be that something less than all of them, and maybe even less than half of them. We don't know. Nobody knows until they get out there and do the work. So he's taking a bit of a risk to do the work, and he knows that he's capped on the number of well points that he can dewater, and we know that we can get the work done, and it's going to get done for more than we wanted to spend, but it's much less than what we would have paid to the low bidder, our second low bidder.
Motion approved. Second.
Discussion?
How do we avoid this happening in the future?
Pardon?
Do we have any way to avoid this happening in the future?
Everything went right. We got the performance bond, the bid bond. It was in the amount that we always ask for. And it just ended up being a huge difference. We don't normally see those big of differences between, the low bidder and the second lowest bidder. It could have been a mistake that he made. It's not one that jumps out that we would have said, oh yeah, that's way off. It actually came in, the low bid came in right near where our engineers estimated where we would spend. So, to us, it didn't look off, even though all the other bidders were really high. And part of the reason why they were high is because there is some uncertainty as to what they're going to encounter out there when they get out on the field. And they don't know how wet that soil is and how far down the water goes or whatever. I'm not, maybe staff could add in there, but I don't know that I see anything that really sticks out as being something we could have done to have avoided this. That's my opinion.
In my opinion, I don't think there's anything we could have done.
It's at least
The contractor looked at it, he's got an unknown on the dewatering on the soil he didn't know, or
and it's still the
didn't
least
figure out how much
expensive,
he's got to
right?
dewaterize. So the other one's a bit higher.
We have a lot of capital improvements coming down the pipe, like the public works. So I just want to make sure if there's anything we could do to be proactive so we don't find ourselves in a similar position when we get to the point of our facility.
We
How much
could
was
ask-
the bid bond?
Yeah, we could ask for more percentage on a bid bond, but I don't know that would put us out of whack maybe with other communities.
Yeah. That's something we can look at, but as Attorney General said, the difference was significantly higher. So you're talking about over $1 million still. So you have 5 or 6 bids. All of the bids are basically at 4 million or more, and this bid was at 2.3. So there was a large 1.7-ish difference. Then with the settlement agreement, there's still a difference that's going to be close to $800,000 to $1 million. So we're still getting it well below what the second bid price was, and that bid bond being only about $150,000 would not have bridged that gap. Had we had called it and actually used that $150,000, we'd be essentially going to the next bidder and then paying that difference, which is another $1 million or so. So in regards to the village, it ended up in a good setting this way. However, it's a project that grossly changed over time. That original project cost was estimated at $1.2 million. Then it jumped to close to 2. Then the final estimate was 2.3 after we had some dewatering concerns. And then you get the bids back and everybody is $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million higher except for one person.
Pretty unusual situation, I think.
Yeah,
Anything else?
no, we're good.
Call the roll.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Nedved?
Yes.
Trustee Salazar?
Yes.
Trustee Christensen?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
All right, thank you. Item 11, Brian.
This is to enter into a supplemental agreement with WBK Engineering. Back in May of 2021, we agreed with WBK for civil engineering to design the expansion of the Public Works facility. During this time, the scope has significantly changed. At that time, we were talking about just more remodeling, and now we're talking about a new building, which the scope is totally different. So what WBK has done is they started performing additional services during the schematic design, and now they are needed to do additional permitting, surveying, preparation of property plats, exhibits, and everything else to go along with this agreement. Currently, the current agreement is in the amount of $68,897. That is in addition to the $91,945 we've already agreed with them. So staff is recommending the approval of the supplemental agreement in the amount of $68,897.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll, please.
Trustee Nedved?
Yes.
Trustee Salazar?
Yes.
Trustee Christensen?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis? Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That ends our new business. Village President report. I just wish everybody happy holidays to everyone. Trustee comments?
I just had one. Since I wasn't here the last meeting, I just wanted to thank the Public Works for all the work that they did on the park, making it look so beautiful. Friends that don't live in the village have commented to me how nice it looks, and so I just wanted to extend a big thank you. Certainly did the village proud, and happy holidays to everybody.
Administrative report?
No report tonight, thank you.
Department heads?
Thank you, Mayor. Thursday, I'll be headed to the Police Academy in Champaign for the graduation of Joshua Campbell, our newest officer and resident of the village.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Motion adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same sign. We're meeting shortly for the committee of the whole. So stick around.